Good evening. Thank you for joining our webinar. Today we will talk about Frontend in 2006. So we are fast forwarding at the end of this year. And today we will speak about how to use AI to get ahead and to leverage benefits of modern large language models. Before we start, please send plus in the chat if you can see my screen, if you hear me well. So we will be sure that everything okay from the technical side. Okay, thank you. While we're waiting for all responses, please write from what country and from what city you are, and maybe what technology you're currently using or want to study. So we will have more like full picture about participants. Okay. There are not many of us now, but I think participants will be joining in a moment. Okay, so let's continue. Let's start with our presentation. These slides will be available for you as a separate presentation, and you will be able to download it. So you will be able to check all links, all information from this presentation. Firstly, I want to introduce myself, and firstly, important disclaimer: I'm not native speaker, so sorry for my possible mistakes in pronunciation and so on. My name is Okhrimenko Dmytro. I am co-founder of educational center Cyber Bionic Systematics. I am experienced software developer, and I'm about 18 years of. I have about 18 years of experience. I am Microsoft certified trainer, and I'm still enjoying conducting trainings, and this is my very big part of my life, conducting trainings and studying, teaching students. But also I am a software developer, and I'm working in like different projects. And last years I'm more in the management stuff, not in development itself, but I still checking pull requests, writing some code, but it's not so big amount of code as comparing to previous years of my experience. I am a full stack developer. On backend I'm using .NET framework, ASP.NET Core, and related technologies. On frontend, I'm of course using JavaScript and Angular framework. It's a main stack, main portfolio of projects in our company, and in my experience, I was involved in such kind of development. Today, this webinar will be conducted not only by me, but also by my friend and colleague James Turner. James is from London. He is conducting our English languages trainings in English. And James, can you introduce yourself, please?
Thank you, Dima. Don't worry, I am a native English speaker, but yeah, thanks. Thank you, Dima. Nice to meet you guys. Glad to be here with you all, and hope you enjoy the webinar. As Dima said, my name is James Turner, and I'm originally from London, in England, and I've been working at Cyber Bionic Systematics as an instructor for their HTML and CSS courses for the past 18 months or so. In English language, of course, and I've been involved in the front-end developing industry for over 5 years now. And I would say that I'm mainly focused on, out of the 3 languages, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, I mostly focus on JavaScript. And as Dima said, I'm going to be taking part in today's webinar and just going over some general advice a little bit later on how best to succeed as a front-end developer in 2026. Thank you, Dima. Back to you.
Okay, thank you. So today's agenda, we will talk about AI and how it's changing job market nowadays. What is the main parts that we need to focus on to understand the future changes. The next is how we using AI as developers, like ideas about usage of AI, and also few like tips, few tools that is very important to know about and to use in your everyday work. Then we will talk about front-end roadmap. So like separate technologies, separate sequence of technologies that is better to learn, to study, to be ready for employment, and to be ready to solve real-world tasks. Then we will talk about 8 tips to help you learn with AI in the world of AI, because AI, it's of course very powerful tool, but it's also adding additional layer of complexity, because it's give us so many different possibilities and ways of using it. So sometimes we become lazy and we become like not efficient in study at all, and we are not studying, not learning, but just like trying to use AI everywhere. So there will be few tips and few like mindsets that should be used by students to be efficient in the learning process. And at the end, key skills that is important in age of AI. So what you need to focus on, expect technical stuff to be more interesting to a future employer. Let's start with general picture of AI and different industries and possibilities to use AI and these industries. So this is some analysis from some forum. I forgot exactly name of this forum. It was in the previous year, I think, but there are sources from information that you can see on this slide. This data was taken from Occupational Information Network, U.S. Department of Labor, and U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics information for 2021. But this information describes the possibilities of different industries to like automate work and like get rid of some part of human resources and workers that is like so optimize its work. And you can see that at the beginning we have banking, and at the end of this list we have natural resources. And the higher the industry, the most the more possibilities of automatization in that industry. The purple chunk of the line is tasks in that industry that is has high potential for automatization, and that gray part is non-language tasks. So it's tasks that is not involved in like communication, in speaking, in communicating with clients, customers, employees, colleagues, and so on. So the more industry has non-language tasks, the harder this industry can be automated, because large language model neural networks that is using today, they are heavily based on texts and text information. So if industry involved some like physical labor, it means that it can't be automated. And software development and IT industry is on the third place, because there are a lot of things that we can automate in our work. And like it doesn't mean that specialists in these industries, they will not be needed anymore and we will lose our work. It means that our work will be like changed, and it will be evolve in something different. So we need to be ready and understand where exactly these changes will happen, what exactly we can automate, and how we can use this for our benefit. There are, of course, a lot of different job positions that will be changed and automated, but we will start with very obvious and easy to understand for everyone who is not in this industry, not in this market. So the first is software developers, software engineers. There are a lot of things that can be automated, but for software developers, it's of course automatization related to code generation and providing like code base for solving some tasks. But in any case, developer can't be replaced, because we are still need critical thinking. We need to hold context of all problems in the project. So developer can automate some part of his work, but it can't be replaced altogether, because there are still very like a lot of complex tasks that is not involved in writing code. Another position is teacher and mentors, because now teachers and mentors can automate some part of their works, like checking like pull request, home tasks, something related to like code that was provided by students. It is easy to generate some explanation, finding problems in the code, but still it is impossible to replace live interaction between student and teacher, and without this interaction it's impossible to have good result from the training or from any educational process. The marketers also change a lot, because now we are like marketers more focusing on analysis and working with the AI tool to generate content, but not to like generate it manually. So the shift in the work of marketers is also very big. And HR specialists, that they are more into like managing talents and working with people rather than routine task involving in checking CVs and doing research manually. So because of these changes, there are a lot of positions that will be rising in demand. And first position is AI and ML engineers, so machine learning engineers. This is the way where it is definitely safe to evolve and get new skills, but there are no such many positions for ML engineers. So this position is like AI proof. In the future, it will not it will be still available. It's for sure, but amount of normal developers, like not AI developer, is still very big, and demand is big for that. So you can be sure that if you're studying Python, if you're studying like not something related to ML, C#, Java, or something like this, you will still have a lot of work, and you will be using LLMs to automate this work. Another popular position is prompt engineering, and I think in the future year or two, everyone will be developer with prompt engineering included, because we need to what is a prompt engineering is a like position where you as developer interacting with different LLMs to send them prompt and receive some output from that prompt for your application. So you are like leveraging neural networks for your application, for your like process in your application. So now everyone should know the basics of how to connect to OpenAI, send prompt, receive response, do something with that response. So in the future, it will be just one of the skills that is important for any developer. Another position that is important, that is rising in demand, is DevOps specialist, like administrator, but with developer skills, who can automate process of like publishing, hosting infrastructure, because LLMs and other stuff must be hosted somewhere, and DevOps and MLOps DevOps who is focused on setting up machine learning and server stuff for this kind of operations, they will be in demand. And full stack developers, because everything can be automated. We are not needed a lot of just front-end developers or a lot of just back-end developers, because we can automate a lot. We need to do more works on front-end, on back-end, all together on different parts. So full-stack developers, they will be rising in demand. And if you will check the last survey of Stack Overflow, more than third part of participants in that survey was full-stack developers, because of this rising demand. And of course, data engineers and analytics, because everything related to AI is built upon data, and we need this kind of specialists to create more efficient, more premium-looking results from AI. How developers use AI nowadays? There are a lot of stuff like commit message generation. It's like decreasing of popularity. So place number 9, it's generation of CLI commands from natural language queries. Place number 8, code refactoring, code review, unit testing generation, code explanation, error explanation. On the third place is documentation. On the second place is code generation. Obviously, please write me this method or resolve this task. And the most commonly used general questions is the place number 1. This information was gathered from survey by JetBrains. It is a big survey with different questions, so you can check the popular languages, popular technologies, as well as different tools and AI usage from developers who use products of JetBrains. And this is a very big company who provide a lot of tools for software development. As for me, I'm using code generation with help of LLM. It's very convenient sometimes, but sometimes it's just additional code base that you need to maintain, and AI can generate something that is like not appropriate to your solution, to your application. So you need just to use it to augment your like operation somewhere it will be just a disaster. You need to write a lot of prompts to AI, so the time that you are wasting to communicate with AI easily can be comparable with time that you can just do your work, do the coding on your own. So not always code generation with AI, it's like a silver bullet that it can help you with your application and the problems in your application. But for example, unit test generation, it's very nice use case for AI, because you always skipping unit tests, or you like don't want to create them because they are very boring way of just repeating your code and checking it from different side, different perspectives. And with help of unit tests, you can with help of AI, you can automate it and make it like very quick process. And documentation. As for me, I don't like write documentation. It's again boring operation, boring task. But with AI, you can send your code base and receive explanations in like user-friendly manner to compose documentation for a project. Of course, like for different projects, something from different developers, some use cases can be more important, can be less important. But in general, all we using AI for code generation, and as for me, the very convenient tool for code generation is GitHub Copilot. It is like injected in a lot of IDE and a lot of code editors, and for me, it's the most useful, most reliable, and convenient way to interacting with AI. After just writing to AI in your default chat application, in web-based or application, desktop-based application. Another convenient way of interacting with AI is using Cursor IDE. It's like a Visual Studio, but built upon of AI tools. Of course, every of this tool is not free. You need to pay for them, but if you want to check them, you can always have a free subscription to check is it useful for you or not. So that's why it's nice to know how the coding, not only because you need to check AI generated code, but also not everyone can afford for studying purposes paid subscription to generate code while they're studying. And I think at this part we will switch to James, and James will say a few words about front-end specialization, about technologies. We have this like bird view about different aspects of our profession. So it's a general roadmap. So James, please continue.
Sure. Thank you, Dima. Excuse me. Thank you, Dima. So, guys, we have here 10 points to go over. I'll just give you each a brief summary of each one. So we have the basic technologies. That is to say that every front-end developer needs to start off with the basics: HTML and CSS for structure and style, JavaScript for interactivity, and the DOM, the DOM, document object model to connect them. Git, GIT, and source control are also going to be essential for teamwork and tracking any changes to code. Next up, we have the frameworks. The frameworks, which I'm sure you're familiar with already, are going to be like React, Angular, Vue.js. These are there to make it easier to build like complex web apps. They're going to provide for you like structure. They have their reusable components, and there's also like best practices for scalability. The next up we have is going to be styling. Beyond simple CSS, we can use tools like SCSS for providing advanced styling features, and what we call Tailwind CSS for utility first design. These approaches will help speed up development and improve consistency in your code. The next up is using an API. Modern applications nowadays often need data from servers. REST and JSON are basically the fundamentals. You've also got Fetch as a tool for requesting data. GraphQL will offer flexibility, and JWT or OAuth will ensure secure authentication. Next up, we have developer tools. Front-end developer work will require strong tool knowledge. For example, VS Code is a very, very popular like source code editor. There is browser DevTools to help debug, and there is also NPM with Webpack to manage dependencies and build processes. The next up we have testing, like unit testing. Testing, of course, will ensure stability. Unit tests check small pieces. Unit testing is where you check small pieces of code, while end-to-end tests will validate like the whole journey for the whole user journey. Even having a basic understanding will make your projects more reliable. Then we have optimization. Optimization is, as you already know, all about performance. Lazy loading helps load content only when needed. But tools like Lighthouse or Core Web Vitals measure and guide your improvements to your optimization. Next up will be architecture. A good architecture will help keep your project manageable. Understanding single SPA, single page applications, and understanding SSR, which is server side rendering, will separate your concerns, and managing the state are crucial for scaling and maintaining your code base. UX and UI. So your front end isn't just about code. It's also going to be about the user, the person sitting on the other side of the computer screen. Learning about design principles, working with Figma. Figma, if you don't know, is like a website you can go to where you have like a blank canvas and you can kind of design all web pages on there and things like that. And also making sure that your web page is going to be responsive across all devices will improve the overall experience of the user. There's also artificial intelligence. AI is, as you already know, becoming part of modern apps. Knowing how to integrate AI features and working with large language models, APIs, like, for example, OpenAI. I'm sure some of you have experience already. That will open up new opportunities for you guys to have, for people to have smarter user experiences. Yeah, I think that pretty much describes this tab. Thank you, Dimo. Back to you.
Okay, so if you switch it into another view, if you are a beginner, what you need to focus on in this like entire picture of different technologies and different knowledge focuses. So firstly, you need to, if you are a beginner, you need to focus on HTML and CSS, JavaScript, and Git. HTML and CSS, obviously LLM can generate a lot of this stuff because the more language is used in different fields, different projects, the better output of LLM is will be in case of code generation. And of course, there are a lot of HTML and JavaScript in the world. It's very popular languages, so LLM generates this code very efficient, and it's very like nice looking code that not every developer can write it. But still, you need to understand how to read this code, and you always need to understand everything that was generated by AI, because sometimes AI generate not exactly what you need and what you want to use in your application. Sometimes it will be a disaster in the future if you leave this code in your application, because AI don't know entire context of your application. So you need to learn even basics, even the stuff that is generated by AI. You can learn it quicker now because AI can help you, but you still can't skip HTML and CSS. JavaScript is a very important language, and you need to focus on beginning stuff like variable, like control flow and so on, and also on advanced stuff like using promises, async programming, interacting with DOM, and everything else, because like this is a crucial part of any application that is web-based. And Git is a thing that everyone should know, even not only developers, because everyone interact in a team. We are not working alone on our application, and even if you're working alone, working with Git is very like nice practice, because you can store your code, you can have version of all changes in your code base, and you can interact with other teammates that they can easily get your work and continue working with updates that was provided by you. So working with Git, with branches, with pull requests is the important part for any IT specialist. If you already familiar with basics and you know something about JavaScript, about HTML, you need to focus on some of the frameworks, because it's very rare when like vanilla JavaScript is used in big projects in like modern companies. The more a more common way to ship web application is to use some frameworks, and most popular frameworks nowadays is React and Angular. React is always like in more demand comparing to Angular, but still Angular is the second place in most surveys, and it's nice to select one of these frameworks. You definitely can find a job position related to these frameworks. Both of these frameworks are component based, so idea and like philosophy of writing applications with help of them, they are very similar, and they are component based, so your application built up from small parts, from components, and each component have state, have some way to update UI and so on. So you need to focus on this part, on how to interact with components. You need to focus on a life cycle of component, of application, how to like create hooks for that life cycle and do something when something happened in component and in different parts of your application. You need to understand how to use routing, so how to interact with the user, and when path URI of your application changed how to show a different part of your application. Definitely working with APIs and interacting with backend is important part, because applications, they are not like static. We always pull some data from database, from external services. So we need to know how to like create a REST request and get some information from the server. And like general rules of building single page application, general architecture rules is the second part that you need to focus on. So if you are not beginner, if you have some basics, you need to focus on on framework and learn basics of that framework. And when you understand frameworks, the next steps is to deep dive into optimization and architecture. You need to learn what is patterns of design, what is the different patterns and what is the purposes of that patterns, what is the state management, how to use Redux or something similar, what is architecture in general, what is separation of concerns, and like everything related to the structure, to maintenance of your application. Because if you write code as it is without any structure, it will be impossible to work in team in like big project, because it will be impossible to maintain and continue adding new feature to project without structure. And fortunately, all frameworks, they provide some basic structure. So if you will learn React or Angular, they will like provide you best practices, how to organize code, what patterns to use, how them to use. So if you will know basics of your framework of choice, it will be easier to continue learning architecture principles of that framework. The next logical step is to going to the server side, becoming full stack developer. If you working with JavaScript, it's logically start using Node.js on the server side, because you can use the same language, the same JavaScript, but now writing code on the server. But although it's a lot of different options, you can learn C#, you can learn Java, you can learn Python, and this is very popular options nowadays, because Python is the language of ecosystem where a lot of different tools for machine learning, for AI stuff. So like it's beneficial, because knowing Python, you have more potentially opportunities to start working with other stuff that related to artificial intelligence. The next step is testing, because it's like part of any enterprise project, enterprise level project. You need to know a little bit about DevOps and deployment. What is continuous integration? So how to work in a company where some part of your like work automated. You pushing changes to the Git, and these changes magically appear on some staging server. So they are built, they are like composed, tested, and published somewhere. So this is part of process that is called CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous delivery. And as a developer, you need to know some basics of it. And soft skills, it is important part of any developers, because like comparing with developers 10 years ago, it's most important skills was hard skills. So you need to be a good professional in like tooling that you that you're using to deliver projects. But nowadays we are communicating with stakeholders, with different project managers. So it is very like big part of our professional life to communicate with other people, try to organize our work, and so on. So soft skills, it's now very important part comparing with previous years. And in like this slide, it will be a product placement in our educational center. Starting from November 25, it will be a course that is focused on front-end development with AI tooling. It will be course that consists of like all necessary topics, all necessary skill set that is crucial to becoming front-end developer. Everything that was mentioned on previous slide is part of the program, and this program is duration for this program is almost half a year, and there are a lot of like interaction with the trainer, with practice. During this course, you will learn what is HTML, CSS, JavaScript. But if you already familiar with basic, you can join this course at the middle and start working with advanced topic related to JavaScript, related to TypeScript, and using HTML for more complex tasks. And the third part of this course is framework of choice. It is Angular or React. And during the third part, you will know all important parts related to framework and how to build modern single-page application based on Angular or on React. It will be trainings in English language, so you can join them. And if you want to try a free lesson, try how it will look like, what is the process of like conducting training in our company, you can register on a free trial lesson. The link for this lesson you can see on this slide, or you can scan QR code. If you have any questions, you can ask them in this chat, or you can contact us via phone or WhatsApp or email. Also, you can see this on the slide or on the website where this link follows. And now I will give word to James, and we continue with other part of this presentation, tips to help organize your learning and become more efficient student. So James.
Thank you, Dima. Just move on to the next first slide, please. Thank you very much. So there are we'll be going over 8 slides, and each slide just gives you just about a general topic, and I'll just go over a few points within that topic. The first one will be in regards to artificial intelligence. Now, we will first recommend that you actually turn off artificial intelligence, at least initially. Now, we all know that AI, I shall refer to it as AI from now on. AI is a very powerful tool. It's very helpful, and I'm sure everyone loves using it and stuff. But we can become too reliant upon it. If you rely upon AI to solve programming tasks, you yourself will lose valuable experience in self-learning. For example, debugging. Debugging is obviously a very necessary part of being a programmer. We've all had, finding a bug is like one thing, but debugging and finding it and actually solving the problem yourself is quite another. So it's best that you learn how to solve programming tasks without any additional assistance first of all, and only turn to AI later on for help if necessary. Because don't forget, all those years ago, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, where even in the 2000s, we didn't have the AI we have now. Those programmers, those old-fashioned programmers, they would have had to have done it all themselves. And it's valuable that every programmer, even modern ones, learn to do this themselves as well, as it's just part of the job. And it gives you that ability to kind of work, should we say, independently of others or other tools or whatever. So, sorry. So yeah, basically, it's a good idea to master the basics without using AI. Build yourself a strong foundation, so you know the ins and outs of programming. And like I said before, AI is only a useful tool. There is the risk of becoming over-dependent on it. So try and do things on your own without kind of reaching out to ChatGPT or OpenAI for either assistance on a project or just creating the project as a whole. AI should only be there as an additional resource, something that will complement you, the programmer. End of the day, you should be using AI to help you. Not AI should do all the work and you should help AI. It should the core of the work, the foundation of the work should come from you yourself. Next slide, please, Dima. Thank you very much. Moving on to the second slide now. Obviously, with any kind of job, any kind of career that you choose to do, you simply have to have a genuine passion for that industry. You need a genuine passion for what you're going to be doing. I'm sure all of you already do have this, and it's one of those things that's very easy to kind of either overlook or take for granted, or maybe even to a certain extent dismiss. But a genuine passion for the job will mean not only will it be fun for you, but having that genuine passion will also help you get through the bad times. Because as with anything that you start that's kind of complex and kind of complicated, it's very easy to kind of throw the towel in at some point. For example, I might have made a New Year's resolution at the start of this year. I'm going to learn French. Then after 6 weeks or so, mid-February, I kind of just threw in the towel. I just gave up. If you have a genuine passion for it, then you are less likely to give it up. You're more likely to persevere, and you're more likely to get through the bad times. If you only pursue it as a form of salary, then you can quickly lose motivation. Yeah, the salary sounds good. Like the hours suit me fine. Working remotely suits me fine. But if you don't have that kind of passion for the programming, staring at hundreds, thousands of lines of code, programming for hours on end, debugging, testing, whatever, if your only motivation is the kind of the salary or the remote working, then, like I said, you may find yourself kind of giving up after a short period of time. One thing you can do is write your own code. Say to yourself, right, well, how do I know I'm actually going to be like that dedicated? How do I know I'm actually going to be satisfied with the job? How do I know that I'm going to be this is for me? Well, write something. Say to yourself, what would I like to write? You can write anything you want. You can write yourself like a little hello world program, or a little Sudoku game on your website, or just write something that you feel like writing. And after 5 days of writing or 5 weeks of writing, ask yourself, how do you feel? Are you satisfied? Did you enjoy it? How did you feel about the bad times? How did you feel about having to debug? How did you feel about the good times? Is this the right thing for me? Kind of make that decision from there on. One great thing you can do is, and this is what I do, this is what I say to myself when I'm programming in my spare time. Ask yourself this question: what tool, what app, what program doesn't exist but should? What program doesn't exist but you yourself would find helpful? The number one thing, and this has been going on for a number of years now, the number one thing that I need every now and again, but I can never find a good one of, here's a great example, will be a hex editor. A hex editor to modify files, literally the hexadecimal values inside of a file. There are tons of these things on the internet, but a lot of the websites you go to want you to either sign up, or they bombard you with cookie messages, or you get bombarded with adverts and stuff. It's not a very comfortable experience. So I said to myself a few months ago, I don't have a good hex editor. And so I went ahead and I wrote one. It's available on my website. It's not perfect. It's not finished yet, but it's a great example of something that you can create that doesn't exist but you need. At the moment, it only allows you to read files, but it's formatted the exact way I like it, the right font, the right everything. It's perfect for my needs, and it's something that you should do. I have other things on my website, like I have some simple browser games, which I couldn't find good examples of anywhere. Obviously, my website is tailor-made to my needs, and it's just a great example of something that you can program that you can use yourself. Obviously, there are many perks of the jobs, like I mentioned before: flexible working hours, a great salary, the ability to work remotely. You can work from home, or if you want to travel the world and do so, then you can go ahead. But just remember, it's not all glamour. It's not all about salary and flexibility and stuff. A genuine passion for the job is necessary in order to get through, those long nights and those tough times. Dima, thank you very much. Yeah, like I said before, this is the third slide. It won't be easy. There are no easy shortcuts, no easy way, no hacks, so to speak. AI can generate your code for you, but that doesn't mean you can, and it certainly does not mean that you should skip the basic learning. In our HTML and CSS courses, we don't use AI. We literally go over the basics of how to create a simple HTML and CSS program, as every single programmer, as absolutely every single programmer should do. It would be wrong of anybody to ignore HTML and CSS and the basic fundamental tools. When programming, you should make a clear plan for yourself and set some very, very achievable goals. This is what I do whenever I start a project. At the start of the project, it doesn't matter what I'm working on. I will literally say to myself, look, what am I doing? Is this the right thing to do? Before I commit 6 weeks, is this the right thing to do? What's the goal going to be? That kind of thing. For example, if you can say to yourself, well, I'm going to create this program, but it's very easy to create the program and then keep stacking up different kind of adding different kind of bits and bobs to the program until it's never kind of in a finished state. Before you start anything, have that plan and have that goal. I'm going to do a hex editor in JavaScript for my website, and it will have this feature, and this feature. And then you work on it. You maybe set yourself like a little schedule of 2 weeks or something, and that's how you get organized. There's no problem with, say, improvising, maybe adding a couple of additional features. But if you keep adding additional features non-stop, then sooner or later the program will never have an end. Like I said before, simple browser programs are fantastic. Something fun is extremely recommendable. For example, we have here a puzzle game. That's what I did. Something like Sudoku or Minesweeper or the card game Solitaire, something similar to like this, because the more fun you have whilst programming, the easier it will be. For example, when I make my browser games, it's a bit like the expression carrot on a stick. I constantly feel like I'm just a couple of minutes away from adding a really great new feature, or I'm a couple of minutes away from making the program finished or adding another thing or whatever. When creating a game that you know is going to be fun, obviously as you make the game, you're going to be testing it as you go along. So a puzzle game is great because it's going to be fun from the word go. Dima? Again, you have to literally live this kind of programming kind of life, this kind of programming kind of mentality. For example, successful developers immerse themselves in this world of IT. It's not just a case of Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, I'm doing a bit of code, that's it. Nothing wrong with that, but it's a good idea to kind of go a little bit further in that regard. For example, you can go onto the internet, you can join internet forums. There are tons of good places. The programmers community is all over the internet. Facebook groups, forums, Stack Exchange, Reddit, for example, all kinds of places online. You can go there, you can be amongst other programmers, ask for advice, or maybe go there and somebody else will ask for advice and you can help them out. As a community, we are not kind of like a we're not kind of enemies in the programming community. We're all there to help each other out. You'll find that other people online are happy to help you out, and I'm sure that you'll be happy to help them out in return as well. It's not just restricted to things like that. You can also enjoy the comedic side of programming. There are plenty of jokes out there. There are memes. You can go onto the internet and just Google programming memes. There are going to be pictures and jokes and all kinds of stuff. And a lot of this isn't just for fun. A lot of these things will also introduce you to different kind of aspects of programming. For example, if I crack a joke about JavaScript, you might not get the joke, but at the same time, I've mentioned a feature of JavaScript you're not familiar with, and you may end up learning something about it. So it's about not just being a programmer, it's about becoming a programmer and having a specific kind of mentality. For example, obviously when I'm in front of my computer, I'm working away, but even when I'm away from my computer, say, I don't know, walking down the streets, in bed at night, maybe unable to sleep, I can still think about my programming, do a little bit of planning or something, maybe even do a little bit of debugging. Stepping away from the computer is a great way of clearing your mind and looking at the kind of issues you might be having from a different angle. It's obviously important to keep up with trends and technologies. Anything new that is introduced, especially when it's something like a framework, you should keep yourself up to date with it. Any trends, basically anything new, trends, technologies, anything new on the scene, you want to be able to hear about it from day one. You'll be able to learn this kind of thing from Facebook groups or from internet forums or from friends you meet online. That way you can keep yourself up to date. And you can be at the forefront of these technological advancements in order to kind of write the best code possible. Your social media should reflect this. Well, it's good to do so. I like to go onto my Facebook and just upload like a little post about something that happened. Like I had a frustrating day doing this, or I had a really successful day doing this. And anyone I've networked with is going to be able to comment on my social media, and then there's going to be this kind of debate, a little bit of back and forth between other people, and there's going to be this dialogue. You would have initiated some dialogue, and which is obviously going to be good for getting to know other people, and also you can kind of what's what I'm looking for here. You can kind of have like a little discussion about what you got up to on that day. Networking plays a major role. Obviously, as a programmer, you are going to want to have to establish like a connection with other people. Other people are going to be like your connection to the rest of the programming world. You'll find work this way, and no programmer is alone, so to speak. All programmers are connected one way or the other, and we're all here to help each other out. And this is a great way of doing so, immersing yourself in that world. Adima? Again, like I mentioned this to you before, I'll just go over it again. As with anything, any endeavor, any significant endeavor that you start, you need to have a clear plan. For example, if an architect is going to build a huge building, beforehand, he'll have blueprints. He'll speak to the person who wants the house built. He's going to know exactly what they want. He needs to know exactly what they want, what their vision is, what they don't want. When you're going to have a project, have a clear plan. If you don't have a clear plan and you're programming away and the project isn't quite so clear and you're not too sure what you want to achieve, then the end result is going to be quite vague as well, and you might not have what you want, or more importantly, you might not have what your client wants. Beforehand, detail as much as you possibly can what it is you're actually trying to achieve. Have like a roadmap. Set a date for yourself. Yep, I think this project shouldn't take me more than, say, 2 weeks. That way the project won't get out of hand after 3, 4, 5 weeks, you're still not finished. Have very, very, very defined goals. Like I said before, when I worked on my Hex editor, I said to myself, it's going to have this feature, and this feature. And as I programmed it, yeah, I pretty much had those features as well. A timeline is very, very, very important to prevent yourself from just starting a project and 4 months later you're still working on it and there's no end in sight. Having a timeline is about discipline. You can say to yourself, I'll give myself 7 days to finish this project. And if after 5 days you're nearing the end, you can say to yourself, I'm very disciplined. I'm working enough hours a day. That's very good. If after 5 days of a 7-day schedule, you are not even halfway through, you can say to yourself, well, I'm not particularly disciplined here. Maybe I need to put more hours into it, or maybe I need to redefine what my goals should be. And absolutely, yeah, like I said, it's all about organization. Get yourself have your projects one after the other, and to say to yourself 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week. Have that plan, have that kind of discipline, because organization is absolutely key. Not just organize code, but organizing your schedule as well. Dima? Like Dima? Yeah, staying focused. It's obviously nowadays we are all connected to the internet. Decades ago, programmers would not have been connected to the internet. There is going to be a lot of information being passed around in the internet, and there is an awful lot to learn, and there's an awful lot of new stuff coming in constantly, and it's easy to be distracted by such things, and you shouldn't kind of say to yourself, you should say to yourself, you obviously want to be kept up to date on changes to the industry. It doesn't necessarily mean to say you should give chase to absolutely every single new thing that appears on the block, every new trend, every new technology. It may be a good idea for you to just read up on something that's new, and maybe wait and see wait for it to establish itself first of all, gain a foothold before adopting it. Because if you learn everything that appears, it might not necessarily hang around. A new framework coming in might not necessarily be adopted by the community. It may end up being it might end up fading away after a few months. It's a good idea to just keep an eye on new things by all means, but not necessarily go diving into it straight away. So let's see how the rest of the community reacts to it and whether it adopts it or not. If you are going to be disciplined and you stick to your plan for your scheduled time, you absolutely see your results. As with any big endeavor, like I said, building a house, creating a computer program, sailing around the world, I don't know, anything, you need to have a schedule, and the more you can stick to your schedule, the better things are going to be for you. Because if you schedule for the first week and you schedule for the second week and you can't complete everything in time for the first week, that is going to eat up into time into the second week, which means the project after this one will end up suffering. When it comes down to writing code, you should do so consistently and as often as possible. I'll give you a good example for this outside of the programming industry. When you learn a foreign language, you should practice consistently and as often as possible. 10 minutes a day is going to be better than, say, 1 hour a week for the most part. Not necessarily everyone, but for the most part, 10 minutes a day is better than, say, an hour a week. Consistency is going to be the key. It's very easy to kind of write code in a programming language, and then you stop programming for a few months, and then you go back to it, and then either you're like, how do I write a switch statement again? Or you go back to some old code and you're like, okay, I should have made some notes on this code. quite know what I was doing before. So I personally write every day. I try and write code as much as I possibly can. This keeps everything fresh in my mind and also helps keep me motivated and disciplined. You're obviously going to need that kind of passion and that kind of motivation, discipline in order to do so. It's very easy to program Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then the weekend comes along. You start going out Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You're too tired. Monday you wake up and then you've kind of lost focus on the job that you're doing. Try and do it every day, even if it's only an hour here or an hour there. It'll keep things fresh in your mind. And believe it or not, even an hour a day is 365 hours a year. 2 hours a day is 730 hours a year. 3 hours a day is more than 1,000 hours a year. When you look at it like that, you are talking about some serious hours, some serious work, and some serious results. Barring exceptional circumstances, where there's a will, there is a way in programming. If you believe you can do it, typically you can do it. Not all programming languages, not all APIs will provide a way of doing it. You may have to sometimes write your own code in order to achieve what you're trying to achieve. But with modern frameworks and modern APIs, most things are now taken into consideration. Most instances that you are interested in will be taken into consideration. But as you all know, think of programming as a blank canvas. There's nothing to get in your way. Where there's a will, there's a way. If you want to do it, you can do it. That game, that app, that whatever. Have confidence in yourself and know that if you can't do it one way, you can almost certainly come up with another way of getting around it. Dima? Thank you very much. Now, we're going to talk about building connections. Earlier on, I mentioned networking. Networking is basically another way of saying building up relationships, making friends, getting to know people, okay? Because doing so in any aspect of life is important, but it's very much the case with getting into the field of computer programming. Connections are going to open doors and create opportunities. We have a saying in English. I'm sure you must have a saying in whatever native language you speak. It is not what you know. When it comes down to, say, getting a job or achieving something in life, it's not what you know, but who you know. Okay? You may have a ton of knowledge in JavaScript, but you don't know anybody. So you don't have a buddy who can get you a job in Microsoft or Amazon or whatever. You may know nothing about JavaScript, but you may have a best friend who gets you a job working in Google, and from there you can learn. So it's not what you know. It's not just what you know, but also who you know. If you're going to be working remotely, then it's obviously going to be more difficult for you to initially begin networking. If you're in an office, you're physically going to be in the presence of other people. You can walk around, go into the canteen. There's going to be people everywhere that you can kind of introduce yourself to. When you're working from home, you're a lot more kind of restricted in being able to approach people. You can send them a message, or you may be able to call them, but it's not necessarily guaranteed that they will respond. So networking is going to be a top priority for you. Your portfolio, your resume, CV, your website, your GitHub, your LinkedIn, whatever you're using is important, of course. All that information, the introduction to who you are is very important. But connections are going to help you get noticed. It's no good having the world's greatest website or the world's greatest CV if there's literally nobody to look at it. You need to be able to take these things and show it to somebody. Give it to your best friend, who then gives it to her manager, and then that connection will help you get a job. So like I said before in the previous slide, you need to be engaging with other members of the IT community. There is a great, to give you an example, there's a great page on Facebook. I think it's called I Am a Programmer and I Have No Life. It's a comedy kind of Facebook page. Every day somebody uploads a new picture and it's a meme. It's a meme about Microsoft or Google or Chrome or something, and it makes you laugh, and then everyone goes into the comments, and there's hundreds of comments. People are commenting. Oh, that's okay. People are commenting, and someone will say something. Someone will make a comment about a framework, and you're like, what does that mean? And then you go investigate into that framework, or you can respond to their comment, and you can engage with that person, and before you know it, you're talking to people. So yeah, as I'm sure a lot of you already have, you need to have an online presence, social media, GitHub, LinkedIn, a blog. Ideally, you would have your own website. Like I have my own website. I have my own .com website, and I upload all my programs there. You need to get yourself out there, have a presence, something that people can go and look to. A website code is going to be code for somebody to look at is going to be better than some resume that talks about the things you've done. Yeah, I did this. I worked at Microsoft. Blah blah blah. But employers are going to want to see code. Here's the code. Yep, you want to see my Sudoku program? Go to my website and look at the source code. It's a great way of demonstrating your work. And also attend webinars just like this one. You're talking to me, you're talking to Dima, there's God knows how many other people here. You're going to be listening to experts in the industry, giving you all kinds of pieces of advice, free of charge. Again, the device is there free of charge, just like you might get on an internet forum or something. Attend as many of these things as possible, get yourself out there and get yourself seen. Dima? Yep. And of course, everyone, remember now, everybody on the planet in any field, they all started off from zero. They all started off from scratch. They had no knowledge when they made that decision. It doesn't matter when you make the decision as an adult or as a child, like I did. Whenever you start to program, you start from scratch, just like everybody else. Don't let fear, don't let anxiety, don't let any kind of worry put you off from looking for your first job. Okay, I know it's tough. I mean, for instance, when you're 16 and you may be going to college for the first time, and you may need to be looking for a part-time job, you don't have any experience of anything, and you start applying for jobs in your local supermarket or shopping center or whatever. It's the same thing. Don't be put off. Get yourself out there, start applying. Worst they can say is no. They may even give you some good feedback. You might apply for a programming job. They say no. You say to them, may I ask why not? They say to you, you don't have enough experience in this. The next job interview you go to, they say the same thing. And then you can say to yourself, right, I lack experience in this framework. I lack experience in this programming language. I lack experience in this field. I need to strengthen myself here. And then when I go for more job interviews in the future, I'm going to be stronger in that regard. So interviews themselves are also part of the learning experience. No one likes having to take part in a job interview, but even if they say no, you can still walk away from it in a even if they say no, even if you're rejected, you can still walk away from it stronger, with more experience, so that the next time around you're more prepared. I tell you one thing that I learned from interviews. Every time I go for an interview in my life, regardless of what field it was, they always ask me a question that I'm not prepared for. I like to prepare myself for any possibility, but they always kind of surprise me with a question. If you're ever surprised with anything, or they ask you about something, or they tell you that you don't know enough, then you leave there rejected, but at the same time you can use that as a piece of advice. Okay, in future, this is where I was weak, this is where I need to make improvements. Having said that, you don't need to learn absolutely every single aspect about every single programming languages. A lot of programming languages are very, very, very extensive. C++, for example, has been around for a very, very, very long time now, 4+ decades. It's one of the most extensive, comprehensive programming languages possible. It's no good like trying to learn absolutely everything about C++, every library, every aspect. That's not how it works. You basically learn what you need to know from each language naturally. It's a bit like speaking your native language. Everyone in English speaks about 10,000 words of English on average. Some people know more, some people know less. If you're a lecturer of English at a university, you're going to need to know more. If you're a mathematician, you're going to be able to get away with a lot less. So you learn programming languages very, very, very naturally, and just learn what you need to learn, and don't overwhelm yourself trying to learn absolutely everything. Also, don't never be afraid to Google anything, even if you've done it 100 times before. I've done millions of lines of code in my time, and even every now and again, I say to myself, programmers, we Google things we've done a million times before. People Google, how do I create a C++ array? How do I create a switch statement inside of JavaScript? How do I do this in PHP? How do I do this in HTML? Is that with a question mark or without a question mark? People do this all the time. It's very easy for things to just slip your mind. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be ashamed. Just Google anything you want, even if you should know it already. It takes a few seconds, and it helps ensure that you don't make a mistake with your code. You're a programmer now, so you need to be creative. You need to come up with ideas. You may be told what to do, but sometimes you may only be told, you may only be given a very basic kind of idea of what you're supposed to do. If somebody says to you, I want you to create 3 browser games on my website, this is your opportunity to brainstorm and come up with a few ideas yourself. Take inspiration from all manner of different sources. On my website, I have a number of browser games like chess or Sudoku. Obviously, those are a bit obvious, but I'm constantly looking at the world around me and saying to myself, what kind of browser game could I come up with next? And even it could be like I could be standing in a supermarket queue, I could be looking around, waiting, and I kind of notice something. I might notice that the floor is like tiles, and each tile is a different color, and I might say to myself, I wonder if there's a game here or something. Or I might be walking around the streets, and I'll give you a great example. There is a guy in London about 10-15 years ago. He was traveling all over London on the tube, on the London Underground, the subway. And he said to himself, I'm constantly going from station to station. I don't know where the exits are. Where are the exits? And so he made an app, which was very, very successful. It's been downloaded millions of times. And the app literally tells you, when you get off at any station, where the nearest exits are and where they take you to. So let's say I'm getting off at London Bridge Station. Where are the exits? Exit here, exit there. That one takes me to London Bridge. That one takes me to my office. Okay. So he took an inspiration there from a source. He saw a gap. He saw a gap in the market, and he wrote his own app, and it was downloaded millions of times by Londoners. So the world around you will kind of bombard you with inspiration. You might not realize it at first, but it is genuinely there. It's a case of opening your mind so that you are capable of recognizing it. And for my final piece of advice, this applies to absolutely anything you do in life, but programming above all, because it's so deep and it's so complex. Practice makes perfect. The more you do it, the better you're going to be. Just do it. Put yourself out there. Like I said before, be disciplined. Create time in your calendar, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours every day. The more you do it, the better you're going to be. Even if you're making mistakes, you're going to learn from those mistakes. It's going to make you a better programmer overall. And yeah, just keep at it, guys. The more code you write, the better you're going to be, the more successful you're going to be. Yeah. Thank you. Those are the points. Dimo, Harrick, over to you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, James. Okay, and in conclusion, key skills in age of AI. In our opinion, it's what you need to focus on, except like your language of choice, to be successful and to find your job position or like improve your current position. The first skill is soft skill. As I mentioned previously, we don't only write a code. We talking with customer, with clients. We engaging in some meetings, in communication inside our team. So we need to have analytic thinking, communication skills. We need to be productive and have some basic knowledge of time management to like set tasks to ourselves, not waiting for tasks from our project manager or scrum master. We need to have ability to accept feedback because not everyone will like say pleasant thing about our work and about some stuff in the project. There are a lot of books, and if you want like the very like essentials of all parts related to soft skill, the nice book of soft skills, the Software Developer Life Manual by John Sandmans, I think this correct name for this author. You can see this book on this picture. Try to find it in the internet. It's very interesting, easy reading, and it's important part of developers' life nowadays. The next skill is general developer skills. So you can't avoid this. You can ignore it. You need to understand how computer work, the basic architecture of computers, that they are like random access memory, CPU, and so on. You need to understand some basics, algorithm, and data structures. Not deep diving in them, but to understand what is a linked list, what is a binary search, and so on. There are a lot of books that is describing this is in interesting manner, so it's easy to read and understand what is it. You need to know about the general life cycle of product development, about methodology like Scrum or Kanban or something like this. Not like deep diving in this, but have some basic idea. It's important to have these general skills. So you need to understand what is, for example, localhost, because I think you saw a lot of memes in internet, like someone with help of AI build his own website and share link to his friend, and this link is localhost. So you need to understand how internet works and how application works. You can just ask AI to do everything and be sure to have good results. You need to understand what results you are looking for from AI. The next skill is like controversial to previous skill. You don't only need general skills, you also need to specialization. You need to focus on something, and you need to have domain expertise, because now we not only need developers who know C#. We need developers who know C# and can build CRM systems or mobile applications for this kind of business. Because if you have experience in that kind of business, it's more easily to find work in that kind of business, because it's easier to teach how to use C# than how to explain how bank or some business entity works internally. So if you have experience in something very unusual, in unusual industry, it is easier to find job in a company who provide IT services to that industry. And of course, it's nice to have focus on something that is IE proofed and related to cloud computing, something related to AWS, like Amazon Web Services or Azure or something like this. It's very nice to have these knowledges, because everything moves in that direction, in AI, in cloud, in decentralization, and moving to the cloud. The next important skill is IE fundamentals. So you need to know how to integrate with AI and how to integrate your workflow with AI, and to treat AI as your like teammate who help you with the code, but not replacing you as a developer. And the last advice, last skill is like building your network, not just CV, not just concentrating on text documents that describing what you know. As James said, you need to have your portfolio, you need to write code, you need to attend webinars, seminars. It's nice to attend live events, because there you can speak personally with different people, specialists in the industry, and maybe you find some connections that will help you to grow, to find new job opportunity, and so on. So even if you're already working in some company, it's always better to communicate with your teammates, with your friends and colleagues in that company, because when you will switch your job, you will have more opportunities if you have big network of connection in different companies, in different job position, because other your friends, they are not on the same place. They are growing, they're finding new jobs, new opportunities, and their opportunities can open new doors for you. So always be proactive, always communicate and engage in some stuff that related to IT, because it is how you can grow in modern age. You can just sit in a room and just coding. It's not working anymore. You need to find opportunities and speak to other people. So this is last slide of our presentation of our webinar. It's a conclusion of today webinar, and I want to say thank you for everyone who joined our event. And at the end, we have question and answer session. So if you have some questions after this slides, this presentation, please don't hesitate to message us in the chat on YouTube. And me and James, we will be glad to answer your questions. James, maybe you have something to add, some conclusion about today topic.
Not really. Kind of went over everything, I think. But yeah, thank you for everyone for joining. And as Dima said, if anybody has any questions, by the way, it's my first time using StreamYard. Can people speak on their mics, or do they have to put it into chat?
It's only in chat. So
okay, sure. Anyone's got any questions at all? It doesn't have to be about what we did today, but also the course that we mentioned earlier. Then feel free to just drop a message, as some of you have already been doing so.
In the chat you can find link to the course registration page, and I want to repeat that the course, the first lesson, it's like a usual lesson. It's not like some special lesson, introductory lesson about the course itself. It will be just the first lesson of the course, so you can attend it, you can try it out, understand the general scope of the course, of the process, and first, maybe second lesson, they are free to attend. And after this lesson, you can make decision and build your opinion about how our educational process is working. So we will be glad to see you in our educational center as a student. So please register, and nearest course will be started at 25th of November. The question from Amar, is it any online event like this? I don't know exactly the schedule for the near future, but definitely we will add new events. We always conducting webinars in Ukrainian, in English. So if you subscribed to our email, if you registered to this webinar, you will be receiving a new messages related to English-speaking webinars in the future. So just be in touch and check your email box. You will see any new opportunities to find out something new about front-end, back-end, and other technologies. In our educational center, we have few key specialities. This is front-end, like very popular because everyone want to know how to build web application. Another very popular option is Python, but unfortunately Python is not translated in English yet, and we have like fully maintained front-end specialty in English. Also, we conducting trainings in company, like corporate trainings. So if you're working somewhere as a developer, you can reach your LMD manager, like learning and development manager, and we can conduct training especially for your organization. We can prepare specific modules, specific topics that will be important to your team to like gain your goals and to create application with help of some specific tools.
Thank you, Dima. Hey, Omar had another question about sharing the links for courses and materials.
Omar, we will share these links. You will see these links in description for this webinar on YouTube. Also, if you will have some questions related to these materials, you can ask them in comment sections on YouTube. So this record for this webinar, it will be still it will be saved, so you can watch it again on the YouTube page. And if you will have any questions, you will see we will answer these questions on the YouTube. I always have habit to check the webinar a few days, maybe weeks after it was completed. So I'm always in touch with participants. So don't hesitate to write your questions in the comment section. And materials will be uploaded and link to them will be shared by email that you used for registration on this webinar. And also you can find them in the description, but it will be later when we will prepare everything for sharing with students and participants. Taras, thank you for joining us. And
yep, thank you, Taras. You're welcome. Thank you very much for coming.
I think that this is all for today. Thank you very much. And see you on the next event. Yeah. So have a great evening. Goodbye.
Thank you, Dmitry. Thank you everyone for joining, and have a nice evening.
Yeah, thank you, James. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.